In the middle of the Cold War, the United States built a bomber so fast it could outrun missiles. It could outrun fighters. It could even outrun its own escort planes. This bomber was literally faster than a bullet fired from a rifle, and it terrified America's enemies. So why did the US later decide to slow it down? Why would any military take one of the fastest aircraft ever built and say, yeah, this is a little too fast for us? Today's story is going to sound completely insane. But once you understand the real reason, you'll realize this single decision may have saved the future of air warfare. Make sure you stay until the end, because the final reason had nothing to do with speed, and everything to do with survival. For as long as humans have been flying, speed has always meant power. Faster planes can fly higher, they can strike quicker, and most importantly, they can escape danger. So for decades, the US military believed in one simple truth: the fastest bomber would always win. That belief led to the creation of an aircraft so advanced, so futuristic, that even today, it still feels like something out of science fiction. But then technology changed. The battlefield evolved. And suddenly, being the fastest plane in the sky became a massive problem. This is the incredible story of why America built a bomber faster than a bullet, and then intentionally made it slower. After World War II, the entire world changed. Nuclear weapons now existed. The Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union had begun. And in this new, terrifying era, time mattered more than ever before. If a war started, bombers had mere minutes to react, not hours. The US Air Force needed a new kind of bomber, one that could reach targets deep inside enemy territory at blistering speeds, avoid interception by enemy fighters and missiles, deliver its nuclear payload, and somehow make it all the way back home alive. The old propeller-driven bombers from World War II, they were far too slow. They were sitting ducks in the jet age. Jets were the future. And the United States was determined to build the fastest, highest-flying bomber on Earth. Engineers at companies like North American Aviation were pushed to their absolute limits. They designed ultra-thin wings that could slice through the air at supersonic speeds. They strapped on some of the most powerful jet engines ever conceived. They designed a fuselage that could withstand the extreme stresses of high-altitude, high-speed flight. The result was the B-1 Lancer, a strategic bomber capable of flying at more than Mach 2, or over twice the speed of sound. At full throttle, this thing was a blur. Enemy fighters simply couldn't catch it. Early surface-to-air missiles struggled to get a lock on it. The logic was beautifully simple. If they can't catch it, they can't stop it. For a brief, shining moment in military history, this bomber was practically untouchable. It was the pinnacle of speed. Now, when we say it was faster than a bullet, we're not exaggerating. At its top speed, the B-1 bomber could travel at over 2,200 kilometers per hour. A typical rifle bullet travels at around 2,700 kilometers per hour right out of the barrel, but it slows down very quickly due to air resistance. The bomber, on the other hand, maintained its incredible velocity high up in the thin air of the stratosphere. It wasn't just fast for the sake of being fast, it was strategically fast. That speed was its primary defense, its identity, its superpower. But as anyone who pushes limits knows, that kind of performance always comes with a price. And the price of Mach 2 speed was steep. The friction of the air at that velocity generated immense heat, stressing the airframe to its breaking point. The powerful engines guzzled fuel at an astronomical rate, severely limiting its range and mission flexibility. Maintenance became an absolute nightmare. The complex systems required constant, expensive attention to keep the aircraft flying, and for the pilots, they were operating right on the ragged edge of human limits. One tiny mistake at Mach speed, one system malfunction, and there was no room for recovery. The bomber was immensely powerful, but it was also incredibly fragile. It was a thoroughbred racehorse, not a workhorse. And then, just as the US was perfecting its ultimate speed machine, something profound happened. The enemy changed the rules of the game. Soviet air defense technology didn't stand still. Their missiles got smarter. Their radar systems got more powerful. Their tracking capabilities improved dramatically. They developed something called look-down, shoot-down radar, which allowed their fighter jets to detect and attack low-flying aircraft. Speed alone was no longer a get-out-of-jail-free card. The Soviets realized they didn't need to chase the super-fast bomber. They could see it coming from hundreds of miles away thanks to its massive heat signature and radar cross-section. They could simply launch missiles into its path and wait for the inevitable collision. Suddenly, flying high and fast didn't make the bomber safer. It made it a giant, glowing target on enemy radar screens. The very thing that was meant to protect it, its incredible speed, was now its greatest vulnerability. The Pentagon was faced with a hard, undeniable truth. Speed had stopped being protection. A new philosophy was taking hold. A radical idea that would redefine air combat for the next 50 years. Stealth. The future wasn't about outrunning danger. It was about avoiding detection altogether. Instead of flying high and fast, the new generation of bombers would fly low and slow. They would hug the terrain, using hills and valleys to hide from radar. Their shapes would be designed to deflect radar waves, making them appear as small as a bird or not appear at all. Flying slower offered a host of new advantages. It allowed for better control at low altitudes. It generated a much lower heat signature, making it harder for infrared sensors to track. And most importantly, combined with new radar-absorbent materials, it created a much smaller radar signature. Survivability mattered more than raw speed. It was better to be the ghost they never saw than the bullet they couldn't catch. So, in one of the most counterintuitive moves in military history, the US made a shocking choice. They canceled the high-speed B-1A program. Instead, they developed a new version, the B-1B. This new bomber looked similar on the outside, but its mission and capabilities were completely different. Its top speed was slashed from over Mach 2 to just Mach 1.25. They intentionally made it slower. They sacrificed its high-altitude sprint for low-altitude stealth. The B-1B was designed to penetrate enemy airspace by flying just a few hundred feet off the ground, using its terrain-following radar to navigate through valleys and mountains, completely hidden from long-range enemy radar. This shift in thinking paved the way for the ultimate stealth aircraft, the B-2 Spirit, the famous flying wing bomber. The B-2 is subsonic. It's slower than most modern airliners, but it is so stealthy, so invisible to radar, that it can fly directly over enemy territory without being detected. Speed was no longer king. Invisibility had taken the throne. Military strategy isn't about having one single advantage and sticking with it forever. It's about adapting to an ever-changing threat landscape. The United States didn't slow down its bombers because they failed. They slowed them down because they learned. They recognized that technology moves, threats evolve, and what was a strength yesterday can easily become a crippling weakness tomorrow. So, why did the US build a bomber faster than a bullet, only to then slow it down? Because they understood a fundamental lesson of modern warfare. Speed alone can't win wars anymore. Survival does. And sometimes the smartest, most strategic move you can make is to slow down. Now I want to hear from you. After hearing this story, which would you rather have in your Air Force? A bomber that's blindingly fast, or one that's completely invisible? Drop your answer in the comments below. This is a debate that never gets old among military enthusiasts. If you love these deep dives into military history and technology, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss our next story, because it's going to change everything you think you know about air power. Thanks for watching.